of the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, last Congress has only further empowered the administration to pursue its radical green agenda. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, which has been chomping at the bit for this green push, received around $41.5 billion for 24 new and existing programs. Today, we will focus on one of the more unconventional programs that I've come across in my tenure, the so-called Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. This fund includes some characteristics of what are known as green banks, or institutions that receive taxpayer funds and then claim to mobilize and leverage investment in low-carbon technologies and infrastructure. Under the IRA's Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund provisions, the EPA received $27 billion to hand out to nonprofits, states, tribes, and cities to support the deployment of zero-emissions technologies and greenhouse gas reduction projects. This is a staggering amount of money, almost doubling the regular appropriations of the EPA. Under the IRA, EPA must decide how it is going to hand out all $27 billion by September 30, 2024. That's just 9 months from now. In order to accomplish this, the EPA has decided to split the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund into 3 accounts or programs and hold 3 separate funding competitions. Under the National Clean Investment Fund, one of those programs, the EPA will pick 2 or 3 nonprofits to establish the so-called National Clean Financing Institutions. These National Clean Financing Institutions will then choose green technology projects which will receive taxpayer dollars. The second program is called the Clean Communities Investment Accelerator, and it will choose 2 to 7 nonprofits to serve as hubs that will then provide tax dollars and technical assistance and training to small and unconventional lenders to finance so-called green projects in poorer and disadvantaged communities. Finally, the so-called Solar for All program will award grants to states, territories, tribal governments, municipalities, and nonprofits for community solar programs. Particularly with the first 2 programs, EPA is picking a handful of nonprofit grantees and giving them wide latitude to manage and distribute taxpayer dollars and abdicating a lot of the responsibility for how that money is spent. In other words, a few nonprofits are going to make decisions on who receives billions of dollars of taxpayer funds. There is something that doesn't sit right with nonprofits giving out billions of taxpayer dollars. The EPA has never administered a program quite like this, and this committee has a lot of questions. How is the EPA evaluating applicants and attempting to select the best grantees? Who will be involved in that process? When these grantees make loans for clean energy projects, how will they determine which projects to finance? What qualifications will their staff possess? How will the EPA monitor the work of the grantees once the money goes out the door? And how will the agency maintain accountability? What remedies will the EPA have if the money is not used as directed or authorized? Did certain special interest groups or individuals have priority access or outsized input in designing these programs and therefore gain an unfair advantage in the competitions? What happens when projects fail? We hope to answer these questions and more today. The committee has been pushing the EPA for more information about the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, and while it unfortunately took some prodding, the EPA has agreed to join us for this hearing today. And we welcome Mr. Zeeland Hoover, Senior Advisor to the Secretary at the EPA. Mr. Hoover oversees the EPA's implementation of both the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the IRA. As a part of these duties, he has also been involved in establishing the new Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Hoover, and I look forward to learning more about this new program and the controls that the EPA is setting up on these $27 billion that are at stake to make sure that whether we agree with the program or not, that the taxpayer dollars is being spent appropriately. I yield back and now recognize the ranking member of the subcommittee, Ms. Castor, for her 5-minute opening statement.
Well, thank you, Chairman Griffith.